So now we're going to talk about yarn weight. There is a cheat sheet that is in your textbook that you'll want to refer to with this, and this kind of comes in use when we're talking about yarn labeling, which is what I'm also going to focus on in this video. So yarn weight doesn't actually refer to the weight of the ball. It refers to how thick the strand of yarn is. So like I pointed out before, you can see that this is not a very thick yarn strand. So that would be something like a 2. So you'll see in your cheat sheet it's labeled from 0 to 7. 0 is really, really thin yarn, something that you would use for lace or baby knits. And 7 would be the super bulky stuff that you see with really chunky knits, which are popular right now. Like I mentioned before in our shopping video, we're aiming for a 5 right now, which is bulky enough that you can see, but not so bulky that it's awkward. So definitely refer to your cheat sheet, and if you have any questions about what those yarn weights mean, then definitely ask them. So when you have a yarn label, when you're shopping for your yarn, this is what it will look like. Now you'll see that kind of here where our barcode is where all this information is. And if you look on your cheat sheet, you'll see these yarn symbols. Now this one is a 4. And you'll see that it says medium weight. So that's why I was talking about that the yarn weights do come in handy when we're looking at our labeling. The other thing we're talking about is gauge, and that's where these numbers here come into play. We're going to talk more about this later on in the course, but just so you know, this is your gauge. Also washing instructions, and then what your fiber content is. This one is 100% acrylic, which is synthetic yarn. And how much. So we have ounces and grams. We'll talk about why that's useful later on. And it talks about how much. So approximately 426 yards in this case. And then yarn brand and usually the name. The other thing you'll see is on the barcode is the name and number of the color. And so we have, this one is True Gray, and it has a number. So when you're referring to if you need more than one ball or skein of yarn, you want to make sure that the colors match. So the other thing you'll notice is dye lot. Now in acrylic yarn, you usually don't have a dye lot, but basically it's a batch that the dye was used to dye that particular group of fleece. Now you'll see it more in wool and cotton yarns, those types of things, but in acrylic you don't really need to worry about that. So like this one says no dye lot, but if you are buying wool or something with a dye lot, you want to make sure that you're matching your dye lots or getting as close to as possible, otherwise your colors can get all weird.